Hello and welcome to this Excel tips video. I'm Sumit Bansal, and in this video I'm going to show you different ways of calculating running total in Excel. So I'm going to show you how to do that using a formula, using structured references in Excel table, using Power Query and pivot table. So here I have this data and I want to calculate the running total for these dates. So I can do that using a simple formula, and that formula would be first I would simply get the cell value here. So I have 7058 in cell C2, and now I'm going to use a formula which would be this cell plus this cell here. And now when I hit enter, it gives me the addition of these two cells, and I can drag this down and it gives me the running total. The only problem with this formula is that in case I remove any of these rows, then it is going to give me an error. See what happens when I delete it? It gives me a reference error because it does not know what row to refer to because it has been deleted. So let me press Ctrl Z to get the data back. And let me show you a better formula to do that. So you can use this formula if you're not deleting rows, but in case there is a possibility, you can use the sum formula. And in this case, I'm going to use B2 is to B2. But in this case, I'm going to lock the first reference. Now what happens is when I lock this by adding a dollar sign before the column alphabet and the row number, it would make sure that this reference is not going to change. So when I go down this row, B2 is going to remain as is. See what happens? I hit enter, it gives me 7058. But when I drag this down, it gives me the right result. And if I go to this cell, you'll see that it becomes B2 is to B3. Now, if I had not locked this reference, it would change and would become B3 is to B3. But because I have logged it here, it would remain constant and the second part of the reference is going to change. So it would become B2 is to B3, B2 is to B4, B2 is to B5 and so on. So this is going to give you the running total for this data. In this case, I have a similar data set, but I want to calculate the running total based on a criteria. And my criteria here is that in this case, in this column, I want to calculate the running total only for printers. And in this case, I want to calculate the running total only for scanners. Now, again, I can do that using a simple sum if formula, where first I have to give my criteria range, which would be this one, because it has the criteria which would be printer or scanner. And in this case, let me drag this down. I have this entire range, but I do not want this entire range. I only want it till C2. So I would only keep it sum if C2 is to C2, and I'm going to lock the first part of the reference, just as we did in the previous formula. And then I would have to specify the criteria. Now in this case, I can hard code it and type printer in double quotes, or I can refer to a cell, and you cannot see this, but in the header of this column, I have the exact same name, which is printer. So I would use that, which is D1, and I would lock it because I don't want this to change when I go down the cell. And now as sum range, I'm going to use this range here. But again, I do not want to consider this entire range. I only want to consider the cells as I go down. So here I would make it B2 is to B2, and I'm going to lock the first part of the reference. And you can lock this by hitting the F4 key. So simply bring the cursor to the reference that you want to lock and hit F4. And now when I hit enter, you can see it gives me 7058. And when I drag this down, it gives me the running total only for printer. So you can see I have a sale for printer here, but for the next 2 days, I do not have any sale. So this does not change, but then I get a sale here and this changes. Similarly, you can create a formula for scanner. So I can copy this formula here and change the references. So my criteria range remains the same. My criteria would be, in this case, E1, and this would remain the same. And now when I hit enter and drag this down, you'll see that now it gives me the right result. The first sale of scanner comes on second, and it gives me the value here. In the last two examples, we saw how to calculate running total when we had simple tabular data. But in this case, I have an Excel table. And with an Excel table, it is best to use structured references. Now, let me show you what happens if you do not use structured references. You use the simple formula that we used earlier. So we used this one, sum formula, and in this case I would make it B2 is to B2, and I would lock the first reference. So I would press F4 to do that. And now when I hit enter, it gives me the right result. So as of now, the running total is fine. But the problem happens when I add a new record here. So let's say I add a record for 16th January 2021, and I make this value something. Let's say this one. But you'll see that this does not change. In this case, this value is the running total till this row, but when I add a new record here, the running total does not change because this formula has not adjusted well. And this is the problem if you're not using structured references. So let me delete this. Let me press Ctrl Z to get the original data back. And let me show you the structured reference that you can use. So in this case, I'm going to have equal to sign, and now I'm going to select the header of the column that has these numbers. And when I do that, it automatically inserts this structured reference. Now, do not worry about what this is. Excel is going to automatically take care of it. But just to explain what it is, sales data is the name of the table. Headers means that this is referring to the headers row, and within that row, it is going to refer to the sale column header. If I change the sale to date, then it is going to refer to cell A1. And in this case, come to the end of this reference, hit the colon key, and then select B2 here. And when you do that, it automatically picks up this reference, which indicates that this is the sale value in this row. And now I would simply wrap this within the sum formula. And now when I hit enter, it gives me the right result. But in this case, if you add a new record, then it is going to work for us. See what happens here. If I add any value, you'll see that now this works. So if you're using an Excel table and you want to calculate running totals for it, it's best to use structured references. Here I have an Excel table and I want to calculate running total for it, and I'm going to show you how to do that using Power Query. Now use this method if you're already using Power Query and this is something that you need as a part of your workflow. So for example, if you're combining multiple workbooks or worksheets, or if you're connecting to a database and getting the data from there, and during that process, before getting that data into Excel, you want to add running total, then you can do that in Power Query. But if you only have a simple Excel table and you want to add running total, then it's best to use the formulas and structured references that I covered earlier. So let's see how to do that using Power Query. Here I have the data. I would select any cell in this table. I would go to the data tab, and here I would click on from table range. And when I do that, it is going to open the Power Query editor. And here I'm going to add a running total column and then load this back into Excel. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that your date is in ascending order. If it is not, or if there is a possibility that it may not be, then simply sort it ascending so that whenever data comes into Power Query, this date column is always sorted in an ascending order. Now, the second thing I would do is go to the add column tab here and then click on index column and then click on from 1. And when I do that, it adds this new column called index where these serial numbers are there. So it starts from 1 and it increments by 1 as it goes down the cell. Now this is needed because now I'm going to use a formula for running total and I'm going to use the index column for it. So I only need it for the calculation. Once I'm done, I can delete this. So the next step would be again go to the add column tab here and then click on custom column. And this is going to open the custom column dialog box. Here I can give the header name, which is running total, and I'm going to use a formula, and the formula is this. I would have this formula in the description so you can copy it, but let me quickly explain how it works. So this formula is a sum formula. List.Sum is simply a sum formula, and then this formula is going to sum the range that I specify, and that range is going to be specified using list.range. And this function first takes the range, which is the sale column, and the starting number is 0, which means that it is going to start from the 0th position, which is anyway going to be 0, and go till the index cell number. So in this case, if it is the first cell, then it would start with 0 and go till the first cell. So it is only going to consider 7058. But as it goes down, it is going to consider from 0 to 2. So it is going to consider these 2 cells and then these 3 cells as it goes down. So this is going to give me the running total. You'll see that it says no syntax errors have been detected. So in case there are any errors, then you would not see this here. But if this is here, which means that your formula is correct in terms of the syntax. Also make sure that this column name is right. So in my case, I'm using the sale column, but in case the header is different, then you would have to adjust these formulas. Similarly, the index column is used here, but if your name is different, then you'll have to change it here. Don't worry, it is going to be indexed by default anyway. And now when I click OK, it is going to give me the running total. Now I do not need the index column here, so I'm going to remove this. And now I'm going to come to File, close and load. Now this is going to insert a new worksheet in the workbook and give me the result. Now, as I said, this is not useful if all you need is the running total in the table, simply use the formulas. But if you're already combining data and extracting data from databases and you need running total, then this could be quite useful. And finally, let me show you how to calculate running total in a pivot table. So here I already have a pivot table that has these dates in the first column and the sum of sale in the second column. And what I need is a third column here that has the running total based on the date of the sale value. So to do that, I click on any of these cells in the pivot table, it opens the pivot table fields, and here I'm going to drag the sale field into the values area. And when I drop it here, it simply gives me another column with the same values. Now I'm going to change these values. So I'm going to come here in the area, in this value, click on this option, the second sale option, and then go to value field settings. And here I'm going to type running total as the header, and then click on show value as. And in this drop down, I'm going to select running total. So when you come down a little bit, you'll see that they have this option called running total in. And because I want this running total based on the date column, so when the date changes, then the running total is going to change. I will keep the date selected. And now when I click OK, you'll see that I have a running total column and this is the running total. And if you change this pivot table, then this data is going to accordingly adjust. So this is how you can calculate running total in a pivot table. That's it in this video. I hope you found this useful. Also, if you're liking these videos, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and click on the bell icon so that you never miss out on any new Excel tips video I come up with. Thank you and have a nice day.